Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tommy O'Brien, coming to you live from TFNN. Thanks so much for tuning in, spending your afternoon right here with me at TFNN. And we got a market, folks. Two-way, red across the board right now, and the NASDAQ 100 leading the way with Meta off double-digit percentages. And right now, folks, we are, as I mentioned on that 3 o'clock update, we're coming right into the lows of the session. You talk about some volatility. This is 200 points from where we were at 10 a.m. this morning, let alone where we were at about 7:30. When you're talking about what now? We were up at 284. You're all the way at 320 points below where we were at almost 8 a.m. this morning. You get a little volatility on the open, and that low at 940 in the NASDAQ 100, 25,942. Okay, and you see we had some buying come in, a little bit of a floor to the market, and we're coming in to test that price point right now. NASDAQ 100 off 300 points, off 1.2%, and let's jump to Meta real quick. That's some of the context of what's going on. Meta off 11.5%. Microsoft, decent numbers, but they're spending a lot of money. We're going to talk about that, off by 3.4%. And Google, the winner last night, but giving back a majority of the gains, up by 3.1%. So NASDAQ leading the way down. S&Ps were off by 0.7%. Same deal, testing the lows of this morning. And you're talking about a 40-point pop in the S&Ps, and we've given it all back with 1 hour left to go in the day. The Dow leading the indices, basically flat. You're off by 11 points at 47,786, but we have given up 400 points from where we were early in the session, and the Russell off by 11 or 0.5%. Yeah, Bitcoin trading with some volatility to the downside. Bitcoin testing an important area, and we'll see. This area of about 107,000, it's been support for some time. Okay, it was resistance, right? You're talking about resistance going back to December of last year, January. You chop around here from about May until July. You bounce there in August. You bounce in September. You bounce in early October. We'll see if it holds. But critical area for Bitcoin, 107,000 right now. You jump over to yields. Quite the reaction to Chairman Powell yesterday that they are far from the December 10th meeting being a cut, and we get the 10-year right now at 4.10. 4.10. We're down by 7 ticks. With higher yields, you have dollar strength up to 99.52, and gold trading with strength as well. 4,037 right now in gold. Now you back it up, okay, just to show you that originally you had a lot of gold strength, right, when the dollar was weakening. The dollar weakens from 110 down to 98 in the beginning of the year. And during that period of time, from the beginning of the year, you have golds. Nope, that's not the year. Yes, it is. Go from 2,700 up to 3,400 when the dollar got destroyed. Okay, so priced in other currencies, it was not the same deal, but priced in a weak U.S. dollar, you better believe that gold got expensive during that period of time. Now, compared to where we are right now, you back things up to September 17th. Okay, September 17th, gold was trading at 3,700, folks, 3,700, September 17th. Okay, compare that to the dollar. That was the last Fed meeting. Okay, you had the dollar at that point at 96.21. Look at the strength we've had over the dollar over that time. And since we've had that acceleration from 96.21 all the way up to 99.53, you've had a gold contract that's gone from 3,700 up to 4,400 and then back down. We're still above 4,000. So over that period of time, from 3,700 to above 4,000, gold trading higher, as our man Steve Rhodes taking a look at, across all currencies right now, with few exceptions, but quite a run. Okay, Mr. Zuckerberg, he is spending money yet again, and the market's a little bit worried, to put it lightly. How's that for a weekly bar? Now, as I mentioned, $88. $88, folks, right? $88. That's the week of when? Halloween 3 years ago, almost to the day. $88, okay? And we're off by 85 today. Now, it's a different world we live in for the numbers that they're creating 3 years out from there, but let's talk about spending. How about 89%? Okay, talked about it this morning, but yeah, that's the number of how much money they're spending. Between Meta and Microsoft, $78 billion just last quarter, up 89% from a year earlier. Okay, and there's more. We'll get into some of those numbers, as in there's more than just that because I got a couple articles pulled up here. Yeah, Microsoft, part of that number is what they're backing into OpenAI. All right, we'll pull it up. But nonetheless, you got spending and focus, and you got Meta off 11.3%, and you better believe it's going to be a big day of volume, folks. Look at that spike in the volume. We're not even done. It's going to be a big final hour. Markets just broke lows. Okay, we got the NASDAQ 100 for the day. Did we? Right to the tick almost. 942. Okay, we're right up against it right now. You know, my take is Amazon's going to be under pressure tonight, folks, off 2.4% already, and they got a lot to live up to, especially when you look at the AWS numbers from a quarter ago, right? Last quarter, you come into those numbers at almost 236. Okay, within a couple days, you were down to 210. There's a lot of expectations for these companies. Google, just mammoth numbers. We'll go through these a little bit later in the hour. Google, yeah, mammoth numbers, and meanwhile, you rip lower from where we were prior to the open, pushing 300. We're at 284. Google's one of the strongest equities. Google and Microsoft right now. Look at this run, right? Doubling in price from where we were at the April lows, from 142 to 291. And we check in on NVIDIA. Off 2%, and we are back below the 5 trillion mark. That number, about 205 and change. For NVIDIA, we're at 202.76, down $4. NVIDIA off 2% right now. All right, we jump to some of the other equities. Eli Lilly with their numbers, strong numbers. You're up by 4.7%. You gave it back on the open and then the conference call, and you're higher by almost 5% on some strong numbers. Those GLP-1 drugs. Take a look at the weekly. You know, we get some real volume on their last earnings. The one thing on this chart, folks, right there, okay? You're still kind of lower highs and lower lows, right? We're challenging the upper end of that, but Lilly with some strong numbers, up by 4.7% on their numbers. Yeah. How about Caterpillar yesterday? Up $1.24 today. It's been a strong earnings season. We get Amazon and we also get Apple after the bell. Apple. How about it? We're going to commit to those earnings literally at the all-time highs. Apple up $1.66 to 271. NASDAQ off 310. We'll come right back, folks.